Top Republican on the House Foreign Affairs Committee is raising concerns that we are in a new Cold War with Russia. And Texas Congressman Michael McCall says the Biden administration's weakness is not helping. Here's what he said.
Rather than threatening after an invasion takes place, we ought to be providing deterrence before an invasion takes place. That's my biggest criticism of the administration.
Do you think we are in a new Cold War with Russia?
I do. I do, because I think Putin, again, smells weakness here.
General Jack Keane is a Fox News senior strategic analyst, chairman at the Institute for the Study of War, and former vice chief of staff of the Army. Great to have you, sir. I just want to play for you to set the scene. Here's what the White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said this weekend.
What we have laid out is a very clear message to the Russians that if they do further invade Ukraine, there will be severe economic consequences and a price to pay. And yes, of course, if it turns out that Russia is pummeling Ukraine with cyber attacks, and if that continues over the period ahead, we will work with our allies on the appropriate response.
And then the Kremlin spokesperson, Dmitry Peskov, said this.
Yeah, de-escalation in Ukraine. Well, first of all, there are no Russian troops in Ukraine. There are no Russian troops in Donbass. There are Russian troops on the Russian soil.
So these two sides possibly talking past each other, as it seems that Russia is determined to try to do something here. What do you know? What do you see?
Well, I certainly agree with Chairman McCall. I mean, it has a resemblance of the Cold War when we had hundreds of thousands of troops facing each other, Soviet Union, NATO, across a common border. We don't have that. But the mission of the United States and NATO during the Cold War was to deter Russian aggression and expansion. And if that fails, win a war against the Soviet Union. The mission now of NATO is deter Russian aggression and expansion. It's the same mission. It's just we're not doing it quite as well as we should be doing. Look at Russia put 70, 90,000 troops, Dana, on the Ukraine border in the spring. And we did what? What did NATO do? Nothing. We should have put troops into NATO, particularly in Poland and the Baltics, to reinforce those countries, make certain that Putin gets the message that we're not going to take any further expansion. And I would have given Putin a laundry list of significant military capacity that I intend to put into Ukraine unless he de-escalates and gets those troops off the border. And I'm talking about anti-aircraft missiles, anti-ship missiles, and a bunch of the other things that are on their critical significant list, which we have avoided to date. And I also agree with McCall that we're showing weakness here in the United States because, yes, we didn't do that. And doesn't it appear that why is Putin back in the fall and winter? Was the accelerant also Afghanistan and a fiasco that showed the United States weakness? That we walked away from a 20-year ally because we didn't want to take any more American casualties after all of that time? What is Putin drawing from that? I think he's looking at our deterrence here. Listen to what Sullivan and Blinken are saying. It's largely economic sanctions. And I don't think Putin believes the French and the Germans are going to go along with it. And you think the Chinese, who is Russia's #1 trading partner, is going to reinforce the United States and shut down all the exports and imports that are going back and forth between those two countries? I doubt it. So I think our deterrence that we've claimed, economic sanctions, has a hollowness to it.
General, I wondered what you think just about in terms of the military strategy. Last week we had a guest that said that they did not believe Putin would do anything right now or in the next several weeks because the ground is frozen because of winter. From a military strategy standpoint or tactically, do you agree with that?
No. I mean, when the ground is frozen, he can move his armored forces. They're actually waiting for the ground to solidify so that if there is a political holdup, that's one thing. But there likely was, I mean, weeks ago, the military condition of the kind of surface mobility that they want to have had not been established. It's being established now, so I totally disagree with that premise.
All right, well, I'm going to get your take on that. I've been wondering about that for several days. Thank you, General Keane. No doubt we'll be talking to you all week. Thanks.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.